Welcome to another Boom and Bust Editorial. I'm your host, Terry, and today talking about the new NCAA law that was passed that will be going into effect in a year or so, about players being able to make money off their image and likeness and whatnot. Look, I've done a couple videos, a couple editorials about how I would fix the NCAA, what the real issues are, and how to easily fix it. So if you want to go through the channel, search those, you can go see those. I'm not going to really go through those steps this time. I just want to say I'm disappointed, man. It's sad. It's extremely sad. And I think people that have not really been in the situation or close to the situation, if you're just sitting there looking at the outside like, oh man, I don't get an NCAA game, or oh man, like Nick Saban makes all this money and these players can't afford to eat. Like, I'm going to tell you straight up, that's not true. That's not how it is. Now, there is a disparity. These, student athletes aren't sitting here pinching pennies, trust me, for the most part. And I'm not talking about illegal money. I'm talking about just with the legal money they get from a school as being a student on scholarship. They are more than able to get by. And so that is a false narrative in itself, and especially at these big schools. So if your coach is making fat money, then trust me, your athletes are being taken care of. I mean, you got Michigan, you got Harbaugh. What, he take his team to Rome or something the other year? Like, come on, they fine. But on the other side of that, there is a huge disparity. That much I do agree with. And again, I talked about ways to help that out. Now, the reason this is very upsetting and the reason I've always been against it is because amateurism means something. And if you don't think it means something, just look at the difference between NBA players and NFL players. Look at the difference. And I know it's a smaller roster, but just look at the difference in the amount of stars, the amount of talent that ends up coming to fruition, because in the NBA it's very few and far between. We're getting a little more stars now, but for the longest it's been a drought of stars once you start having kids come out of high school. And there is a psychological and social and emotional development part to it, where when athletes don't have to go through that development process, then there's something that's going to be missing, to the complete game, because you can't separate the player from the person. Maybe in the old school, a lot of people thought you could, but you can't. Whatever you have going on as a person is going to come, to practice with you, going to come to the games with you and all those different things. And so you telling me that as a 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, I'm able to make millions of dollars and play in a professional league and be a celebrity, and I'm going to be okay? And I'm going to just be perfectly equipped to handle that? No. You got 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds on college campuses who can't even handle the freedom they have at college. What makes you think being this mega celebrity and then also having a lot of money is going to make that any better? You got no further to look than child stars. There's a lot of stars that go left and right, but none go left harder than child stars, because they get exposed to an adult life that they're not emotionally or, socially developed to handle. And so there's something to be said. And again, if you haven't been close to it, if you haven't been a coach, if you haven't been a player, all those different things, there's something to be said about the rite of passage, especially when it comes to football. And so it's interesting to me that we could say physically, we're not going to let football players come out of high school or 1 year of college to go play in the pros. We're not going to do that. You're just not physically developed. But whenever it comes to mental and emotional, then people just seem to can't grasp the same concept. Because to me, the rite of passage through football and, the education side apart, I'll get to that. The rite of passage allows you to earn something. It allows you to grow towards something not just physically, but it allows you to understand how to mentally prepare and to mentally, persevere through adversity. And, whether that's winning and losing games, whether that's being, through coaching changes, whether that's having a tough coach, having somebody that pushes you, whatever, it's a different situation for everybody. But those are the different things you got to learn. And being in the locker room, not with a bunch of people you go to high school with, but being in the locker room with a bunch of people that were also big dogs. I mean, you got a lot of kids now that just transfer. To me personally, the students are getting softer anyway. You got a lot of students that just transfer because they're not the big dog anymore and they don't like it. So they're going to go to another school. And so you got teams like Alabama producing good pros and having a good program because you got guys that actually want to compete. They want to be thrown into the fire. And either way, whether you go to a different school or not, that college is that fire, at least to start off with. And the thing that I've always said, moving to the educational piece, is that I love football because it requires a 3-year commitment out of high school. And although a lot of people are like, they shouldn't have to go to school, whatever, all that stupid stuff. To me, it's more about I know it's more about the physical development, but the residual effect of having a 3-year commitment is that they do gain the education. Like, we're getting more and more juniors come out, but for the longest time, the vast majority of people that came out were seniors because people got through junior year and said, well, why would I not go to, my 4th year and get my degree? And even then, a lot of people that go to the NFL as a junior, they will come back and get their degree. Or you got people that do 3 years, but they finish their degree in 3 years. So not everybody is doing their education with as much fidelity as the other people, but there are a whole lot that do. Consistently, your academic All-Americans, as far as athletes going to NCAA, come from the football team. And a lot of these guys get there as just like, I'm here to play football, but you can't fake it for 3 years, as I always say. You cannot fake it for 3 years in all those classes. At some point, you got to learn something. At some point, you got to grow up, whether it's learning to handle your schedule, learning differences with people. And that's the power of being in college. Now, full disclosure of my bias, as I've mentioned before, I work in college. I'm looking to get my master's in college administration and student affairs. Like, that is my passion. I believe in higher education. But whether you're talking about social development or you're talking about just the economic development of having a degree, we all know the stories of people getting hurt. We all know the stories of people retiring and having nothing to do. There is a power in education for me personally. But overall, my fear, because again, this isn't the worst step, but my fear is this is going to lead down a bad path where they're going to be professionals. And like, what is the point of having students in college if they're going to be professionals? If you're trying to pay them, if you're letting them have agents, if you're just letting them do what they do in the NFL, what is the point of them playing in college? And what is the point of them being student athletes? That's the thing. We're losing that student athlete part, and our fear is going to look more like basketball looks, where it's just, I'm forgetting the word, but it's just, going through the motions. It's just a trivial exercise. And that's my fear, because right now it's like, yeah, I can get paid for my likeness. But look, I'm a college student. I got my practice schedule. I got the game schedule. I got my class schedule. Then I got the other things I'm doing. And now you're telling me I get paid for this and that. So now what's stopping people from now? Okay, you know what? Forget doing this. Forget doing this mentor program. Forget going to tutoring. Forget, trying to do this club on the side, or forget hanging out with these type of friends. I'm going to be more focused on finding deals that I could get more money in. And you know what I mean? Now it's become a business. The reason amateurism was a thing, the reason student athlete was a thing, is that you're here to get an education to be a student in this college environment. And then you're here to compete in athletics with those focuses. That's it. You're not focused on, let me get an agent. Let's see what type of deal we can get. Let's see how much more money I could get. Okay, let's find some more sponsors. Like, you're not here to be a business. And that was the power of amateurism, because that's going to come. If you're good enough to make it to the league, that is going to come. All that money is going to come, and that life and that stress is going to come. But right now, you're still, for lack of a better term, you're a young kid, and we want you to live in that moment. And I don't think this is a good idea. I think it's going to precipitate, or well, that word F me up. It's going to just continue to get worse. And it's just going to continue to erode the college experience. It's going to continue to erode the student athlete. And I think we're on a bad path, and I'm very disappointed, but not shocked, because in the short version, my solution is to spread the money out. But of course, people don't want to give up money, so they rather give a little bit of money to the students than give up big money out of their own pockets. And, you know, it's a shame. People will trample over minority bodies. They'll trample over student bodies. They'll trample over whoever they want to keep their pockets rich. And they don't care that it's ruining the experience. And it's a sad thing. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think about the new NCAA rule. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.